Good evening. Myself Dr. Keshav Chandra Mandal. I am a researcher of India. I have written about 10 books, more than 3 dozens of articles in various national and international journals, and I have been regularly contributing in an e-magazine called The World United. Now it is being published from Kerala. There is a monthly e-magazine, and I have been writing in several newspapers also since last 1 decade. Very recently I conducted a study in 3 Indian states such as West Bengal, Tamil Nadu and Rajasthan, and this project was sponsored by the government of India under the Ministry of Human Resource Development. It was a project sponsored by ICSSR, Indian Council of Social Science Research, New Delhi. I have transformed the project into a book form, and initially the name of the project was Empowerment of Women in Local Governments, Myth and Reality, the Indian Scenario. But I have transformed the project into a book form, and I have given the name of the book Gender Empowerment in Local Governments, Prospects and Debates of Sustainable Development in India. This book consists of 9 chapters, excluding list of tables, acronyms, glossary, preface, foreword, and acknowledgements. The 9 chapters are: first chapter is introduction, the second chapter is review of literature, third one is conceptualizing gender and empowerment, fourth chapter is status of women and overview, fifth chapter perspective of women's participation in local governments, sixth chapter profile of the field, seventh chapter gender empowerment and social outlook of the respondents, eighth chapter deals with the issues, constraints and schemes of empowerment. Chapter 9 is findings, policy recommendations and conclusions. And now I am trying to give a summary of the book here. Before giving summary, I would like to inform you the preface of the book. Let me start. Over the years, local and regional governments have proven and continue to prove that by interacting, working together and adopting best practices, local and regional governments are better able to tackle local challenges and pave the way to a better future. In India, if India lives on villages and women hold 50% population of India, no sustainable development can be possible without the equal and effective participation of women in village level decision making bodies. Similarly, without women's equitable participation in urban development bodies or urban local bodies, India cannot make inroads in global competition. On this backdrop, the government of India passed 2 constitutional amendment acts in 1992 for strengthening participatory democracy by reserving 1/3 seats for women in local government bodies, which created a landmark in the history of gender empowerment in India. As a result, About 1.5 million women, including scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, the backward community people in India, have been able to participate in decision-making process which was unimaginable before the 73rd and 74th Amendment Acts in India. These people are now participating in Panchayati Raj institutions and municipalities either as members or chairpersons. A quarter century has elapsed since the twin Constitution Amendment Acts were implemented, but still the status of elected women representatives in grassroots political institutions has changed little except their numerical strength. Though it is a fact that alongside women's growing presence in local government bodies, women are still being increasingly visible in various other socio-political institutions and economic categories too. But mere participation and presence of women in growing number is not enough. It doesn't guarantee empowerment of women and ensure women's independent decision-making power. What becomes evident from various studies is that even after more than 2.5 decades of the implementation of reservation policy for women in local government bodies, majority of women members in rural as well as urban local bodies face enormous difficulties in exercising decision-making power and implementation of government policies and programs. A lot of constraints hitherto stand in the way of women's empowerment through their participation in local bodies. These include illiteracy, lack of consciousness, ignorance, economic dependence on their male family members, ill health, household chores, narrow casteism, further system, and so many other deep-rooted cultural barriers which do not encourage women to participate equally and share equal powers with their male counterparts. Also, women and girls are the victims of nepotism, molestation, rape, character assassination, and domestic violence. These problems are not the problems of India alone. These are the problems women and girls facing throughout the world. These obnoxious treatments toward women and girls is prevalent not only in men-dominated states, it is more or less the same in female-headed states too. A woman is not secure even if she is educationally sound and economically self-reliant and having a white-collar job. The same derogatory position of women is experienced in almost every nook and corner of the world, except a few European and Scandinavian countries and African Rwanda. The overall situation of women is almost the same in the globe. Social taboos and economic dependence on the male guardians have chained and bowed women down since time immemorial. With the advancement of time and inventions of modern science and technology, male-dominated state machinery is also inventing and adopting new strategies for subjugating women. Majority women in India cannot raise their voices and express grievances in public forums, and even women elected members of three-tier Panchayati Raj institutions and municipalities also cannot exercise their decision-making power and put up their demands, and even if they put up somehow, those are mostly ignored by their male counterparts. Results of various research studies reveal that in rural areas, women members of Gram Panchayats, Block Panchayats and Jila Parishads, these are the three tiers of Indian rural local government bodies, remain mostly as silent spectators in the meetings and speak little except in cases aided by their male accompaniments. Mostly husbands and sons and party members. Even after 2.5 decades of the Peer Amendment Acts, women punches and sarpanches are escorted and guided by their husbands and sons in meetings, conferences, and training programs. Though the situation is improving gradually, the pace is very slow and scanty. This fails to fructify women's emancipation and bring about gender empowerment. Under the circumstances, the present study has been undertaken to examine the whole issue of empowerment of women through their participation in various democratic decision-making bodies.